can wake up people though. I come down the road from Lamins and a little sleep hole, man. I want to wake me up like if it's Kaduma 4 in the morning. I don't know, Marsha and Kurt, what you do down here. But if this is the vibe and this is the feeling, then I suspect that y'all will be leading the rest in saying, Prime Minister, permission given. Continue the job. You know, I love this spot. And I gave a speech here 2 elections ago that some of you may remember. I spoke about enfranchisement. And I anchored it in getting you to understand where our head was and was important. Because for too long, especially in my life, people say, oh, the Labour Party for big people. The Labour Party for one set up there. They don't see or feel people. And I came on this spot here in Layne's Road. Marsha, you might remember. Kurt, you might remember. And I talked about the circle of enfranchisement. And I used those words. But what I was really talking to you about was how we were going to make life easier and give you something to hold you to this country. Because we got the political enfranchisement, we got the social enfranchisement with education and access to health care. We got the social security with the NIS. And may I say from this platform, I want to thank you for giving me Marsha Cattle, because she was pivotal along with Colin Jordan for making sure that your pensions in this country have become secure. And let us be clear about it. There are people all over the world who don't know whether their pensions are going to be secure. I talked about it in Oystons the other night and reminded you of what happened in Paris when they tried to do pension reform. But she helped us stabilize the economy, and even when she went on the backbench, she took a leading role in helping us with the pension reform, and I thank you for that, because that is a complex issue. But I told you here at Blaine's Road that we needed to complete the circle of economic enfranchisement. And we're not there where we want to be yet. And that is one of the reasons I will tell you, apart from what I say to you tonight, to meet me in Golden Square this weekend. Because in Golden Square, we will continue that conversation. And you will begin to understand why this is the team and the party for the challenging and changing times in which we live. But I've come here to tell you that since that speech, we have been working to be able to make life easier for you and to lay the platforms that will eventually enfranchise you and your families. And when you look at it, I can go through, and when done, you're going to say, boy, she like Little Rick. Hit after hit after hit after hit after hit. Because immediately upon coming to office, you had not gotten, those of you who work in the public service hadn't had a wage increase, a salary increase for 8 years. And within weeks, we settled one for you for 5%, even though the country was broke. Because I told the IMF, I said, when you're carrying people up on a long journey, you must give them what? A little breakfast. And we turned around. And since then, in spite of COVID, In spite of having to do $1 billion structural adjustments in this country, we turn around and give you 2 more wage increases. And as we speak, we are waiting for the regrading and know that we will have to go for what will be your 4th wage increase before the end of this year, should you give us back the government in this country. And for the rest of you who work in the public service, how many of you were in positions, you're acting 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, you're doing the job, you ain't got no negative reference by your file, nobody can tell you that you're doing it wrong. And this government came and said, look, until we get an HR management information system that's working, you cannot penalize the people. Dale Marshall, give me a law and let me appoint the 3,000 people that we did in 2020. And as if that was not enough, we came back in November, December again. And some of you this week are getting your letters because we appointed now another 2,290 public servants in this country. Either for the first time or on promotion. But we didn't stop there. The reverse tax credit, the amount of money those of you who earn below, in those days it was below $1,500 a month. And it had been reduced to $650. Money that you get in a single check to offset the VAT that you would be paying. But this government did 2 things. We expanded the basket of goods for which there were no duties and VAT to be payable. Expanding it again as recent as last year. Trevor, stew beef and all gone in it. Horlicks gone in it. And then we turn around and say, no, from as far back as 2019, don't give them $650. Was $650 enough for the people at the very bottom who earning literally, they were earning $6.25 an hour as a shop assistant. And we said, no, get them $1,300 when the year comes. I say, meet me in Golden Square this weekend. Oh, Lord. Miss it and blame yourself. Miss it, diss it, and get out of town. And we turn around. We didn't stop there. We said, guess what? People who earning $2,080 a month or less, you in the same position, you too should get the reverse tax credit, and we have given you that $1,300 that you were not getting before. People earning between $1,500 a month and $2,080 a month. This is not promises. This is not a storybook. This is your reality for the last 7 years in this country. And in this community, look around in Brittons Hill. Look around in the Bayland. Look around in Carrington Village. Look around in Wildy. Look around in Clapham. Look around in the Pine. These are the people who constitute the majority of the beneficiaries of the Labour Party policies. What foolishness you're telling me that we only see big people? You need big people sometimes, yes, to create investment and to create jobs. But if you don't take care of the people who take care of you, God help you. And that is the problem of the Democratic Labour Party for the last 50 years. I didn't say its whole life because they did good work initially. But they have lost the art, and worse so under Ralph Thorne than any other leader. I now know why Frondell Stewart sent Ralph to lead the Democratic Labour Party. Because that is the only way. Frondell is a man of history. You know it, and I know it. And Frondell is the kind of man that wants to know that he cannot be that leader to go into the Guinness Book of World Records as the worst political leader ever in Barbados of a mass-based party. So he pick up, and he sent cross by me for Ralph. He recognized that Ralph come Parliament, Ralph don't talk. Ralph don't represent nobody out there. And if he left the Labour Party, nobody would miss him. And foolish Ralph, take debate. But not only take debate and get on powerful foolish. And lock out all kind of people. Can you imagine locking out Miss Map? Miss Map, who in the Bussard, Cat Spraddle, Owen Arthur, and all of us, want to remember the Bussard? What foolishness are you hearing? So Frondel understands that Ralph has no understanding. If you thought that Frondel didn't understand the economy, and a time is going to come in this campaign where I'm going to put things in context. Because Chris Sinclair gave a speech in 2010 to the Chamber of Commerce. And in fairness to him, he outlined actions that this Barbados Labour Party government did with other things like debt restructuring. But Frondel refused to act on it. And Ralph Thorne is no different. Ralph will now satisfy Frondel after this election that he will be the worst ever leader of a political mass-based party in Barbados. But I come back to you because, you see, we didn't stop at the reverse tax credit. We looked around and realized that people who earn between $2,080 a month, $25,000 a year, and just shy of $3,000 a month, that things could be a little dicey for you too. And that you sometimes got to do what? Juggle. And if you got a single mother or a single father living with 2 and 3 children in the house, and a mother that you still got to take care of who only got a little pension there, but who got to go and buy some additional things that she got to use because of what condition she got, you can have to juggle. And the car that you got break down, and you ain't got no nest egg to go and help you fix it, you got to left it one side. We saw you. And there are about 25,000 of you who earn between $2,080 a month and just shy of $3,000. And we said, look, pay your taxes. But when the end of the year comes, the end of the fiscal year, not the calendar year, when the end of March come, and the time come, and the government got piece of change, and it doing all right. It didn't rich and pompous setting, but it doing all right. We will give you back every cent you paid in taxes. And we called it, I want you to remember it because you're going to meet me in Golden Square this weekend. We called it a compensatory income credit because we said, look, every single month you pay in PAYE, but we're going to give you back because it's a form of forced savings. Because you know that if you get it, you might have spent it. So that when the time comes now at the end of the year, you get back every single cent you pay in April, in May, in June, every month. We did it in 2020 for 2019. We did it in 2021. We did it in 2022. We did it in 2023. We did it in 2024. We did it in 2025. And God willing, if we become the government again, we're going to do it in 2026. Tell me who it is that's earned between $2,000 and $3,000 a month. Tell me who it is. Police constables. And we hope that we can take care of you and make that better for you too. With the regrading. Nurse assistants. Come in, go around and see who earns that. and we have made life easier for you. It is true that the cost of living from outside, because almost everything we use is imported. And therefore, you hear from the US to the UK, all over the place talking about cost of living. But imagine if we did not do that for you and you continue to operate under Democratic Labour Party government, what smelling salts would you need today to get you up to be able to face work every day? But we didn't stop there. I tell you, hit after hit after hit after hit after hit. We didn't stop there. You going and people working as shop assistants at $6.25 an hour. And in the middle of COVID, and this is the difference between leadership and being able to recognize that sometimes you have to step out of the crease. But so long as your technique good, and so long as your eyes good, and so long as your timing good, you know you're going to connect with that ball and go straight to the boundary. We ain't playing reckless. We ain't doing like Chris Gayle. We doing like Everton Weeks. Keep the ball on the ground, because if it's on the ground, you can't catch me. We took a decision to increase the minimum wage. I served in a cabinet with Owen Arthur. And for the time between 1999 and 2008, at least on 3 occasions, we considered whether to do the minimum wage. And everybody around Owen told him, no, it can break the economy. You can't do it. It can mash up people. People can get sent home. Businesses can shut. Well, I heard the same thing too. But the difference was that if you can't afford to pay people a decent wage, then you want to carry back people to slavery and oppression. And I can't, your business is not worth opening. If principles don't stand for something, you will fall for anything. And we took the decision that you at $6.25, and some of you didn't even have the protection of the law like the shop assistants had. And we said, give you $8.50 an hour. And then we come around again, 4 years later last year, and carry it to $10.50. And Ryan Strawn in his budget told you that rather than waiting to do it every 3-4 years, that like the NIS, every year in January, the NIS is carry up your pension by 2%. We say carry up the minimum wage by 2%. And when we come every 3 years, you look and see if there's a difference between the 2%, the 2%, the 2%, which is compounded, by the way, and what we should have carried it up by. I want you all to do the numbers. Don't believe me. You take the difference between $6.25 and $10.71. Huh? Let's do it, man, because sometimes I suspect there got a lot of people from the Democratic Labour Party that can't add, subtract, multiply, or $4.46 more per hour. And most people work in a 40-hour week. $178.40 more when the week come than what they were earning. You understand that is almost 2/3 of what they were getting at $6. And then you multiply that by 4. Good Lord. This Barbados Labour Party government with Kirk Humphrey and Marsha Cattle, Cynthia Bradshaw and William Duguid, Arthur Holder now to be Tyra Trotman. You will come in Golden Square. You ain't coming yet. Is responsible for families whose principal breadwinner work in a gas station, work in a shop, being able to carry home $713.60 more when the month come. I didn't say that's the salary. I said more. And no businesses have shut down. And this economy, far from imploding, you heard the governor of the central bank this week at another quarter of growth. 18 straight quarters of growth. And he even told you, you see, I have never been boastful because I always learned as a child, pride cometh before a fall. But you must tell the facts and the truth. And there are very few other countries who have been as consistent, not just in economic growth, but the story I am showing you tonight is how we carried along people with us. So that when you look at the reverse tax credit, the compensatory income credit, the minimum wage, why stop there? Every one of these houses, this community full of houses. What the houses got to do, the owners of the house got to do? They got to pay land tax. And this Barbados Labour Party government since 2018, since when I asked you to give me the vote and watch me, carried your land tax liability from $150,000 to $300,000. And what does that mean? That if your house value at $300,000 or less, you don't pay a cent. Look, a big, big zero. You don't pay a cent in land tax. But it gets better. We didn't say we're going to promise you to carry up that value again. We took it. We were so confident in our ability to manage this economy that 3 years ago we told you in 3 years' time we will carry that value to $400,000. So any house, any wall bungalow, $400,000 or less, not a cent in land tax will you pay in this country. Now I say these things because in making life easier for you, we have not made this economy weaker. We have not made this country weaker. We have not made the institutions weaker. But what we have done is to make it easier for you to see every day, because whether we did this or not, you would have had the cost of living problems. And you would have been in potter to be able to make ends meet. But we went further. It wasn't only the money we put in your pocket. We saw the basket of goods and we recognized that the price of oil went up. And we said, look, take the electricity bill. And for the first basic set of electricity, reduce the VAT from 17.5% to 10% for everybody. Now, by the way, people who land tax more than $400,000 and $300,000 still get the first $300,000 at zero too, you know. So it meant that everybody, even those who paying less. For income tax, we reduced the rates for everybody, not just the people at the bottom who ain't paying nothing. So that this government from 2019 has been taking everybody along and putting more money in the pocket. And we will not do so in a reckless way. Ralph tells you about reducing VAT. He didn't tell you by how much. He didn't tell you how much it's going to cost. But I tell you, meet me in Golden Square this weekend and we're going to talk. Oh, Lord. And we ain't only going to talk, we're going to do. Because you know that all talk and no action, bag of words and no action. When I know the song, I wish I had a DJ here to play it for you. Ain't no good. Can't help you do nothing. And I'm saying to you, but it wasn't only putting more money in your pocket. We turn around and we say, look, they have buses. We have bought 121 electric buses in this country for a country that was in an IMF program for 6 years. We turn around and buy 55 garbage trucks. We turn around and we say, look, we don't like what happening to our young people. And I sat with cabinet and said, look, the youth service as structured is not helping. Let us create a Barbados Youth Advance Corps. And you see them every Independence Day now, bedecked in the beautiful navy blue, looking sharp, sharp, sharp. We got a hiccup during COVID. Everybody know that, because you can't go outside. But we have settled back. We have just finished building the dormitories for them so that we can take up to 300 young people to live into those dormitories for 10 weeks. Because if you want to change the behavior of young people, you can't just do it with them coming with a day release program. You got to let them come in. You got to work with them. You got to see who like to get up early, who don't like to get up early. You got to instill a little discipline in them. You got to let them help each other. Some days going to be good for some and some days going to be bad for others. That investment costing us. And we turn around and give them a stipend to make sure that when the week comes, even when they're staying in residence, that they have a little something in the pocket so that they can understand that they can also have the dignity of being able to take care of themselves. Now, why is this important? Many of you struggling to working long hours, and you worry about what's happening to your children at home as teenagers. You're taking a chance with them, but you don't know who's trying to influence them into bad things. And if you can get them into good programs, if you can get them into clubs and to be able to be cadets or scouts or sea scouts or guides or brownies or key club, call off all of them or the Youth Advance Corps. You know that they got a chance that they can step up and gain the police service, step up and gain the defense force, step up and go and take a job to learn a skill in there. They could find something and build on that skill. We reintroduce free education at UE. We turn around and say, you must also have it free at Community College and Samuel Jackman Institute of Technology. When I don't understand, hit after hit after hit after hit. And when all is said and done, we tell you, we know that Queen's Park is a lovely place, but it's small. We tell you, no. In my constituency, they had a plantation called Friendship Plantation in Waterford. And we said, no. There are about 200 acres there. St. Michael is a parish that got 100,000 people living in it. And you can't tell me go to Queen's Park and gather, because 2,000-3,000 of us in Queen's Park and the place full. The place bust. And we said, and you know what hurt me? That from 2007, when I first went to Owen, I said, Owen, I want you to acquire this land for National Botanical Gardens. He tell me, I'm going to do it, but I ain't got the money to finish it now. I said, that's all right. You acquire it, and we're going to do it little by little by little by little. Because when people used to build the houses, they used to buy the blocks and put them on side. Then they got a little more money, they're going to buy the blocks again. And that is the same approach we took. It hurt me when Dennis Lowe take the sargassum seaweed from off of the beach and carry it across there. We knew that the land was good because we knew that that well at Waterford helps provide water for people across St. Michael. But the problem was that if you let the cows continue to graze on it, it would increase the nitrate content in the water, which is bad for us as a people. So we knew that the options for it would be limited. When he go and put the sargassum, they said, oh, we take something that's supposed to be a place of beauty and make it a dump. Well, you didn't need to know what I did when we came to office. And now today, Waterford Bottom, which was renowned for all other kinds of things that you don't want to talk about. is now Waterford Boulevard. And I need to get MTW to put up a proper sign saying Waterford Boulevard. But I want you to remember how it looked. Bush up 10 and 12 and 15 feet I lay. And now you don't only have out by the National Botanical Gardens, sweet with trees and grass, and every day, not even every weekend, every day Bajans going across there, picnic, exercising, concerts, all kinds of things inside that. And we are not yet finished with it. But last year, I said to Adrian Ford, my man, you're doing clean and green all about the country. But every time Bajans drive across that ABC highway, our eyes hurting with our river tamarind and our bush. And in a sense, got the botanical gardens from one side, and yet you still got rats running about. Not them kind.
Oh, Lord.
Genuine rats running about in that old cane ground. And in between the river tamarind that David Eswick plant, tell you that he can have river tamarind all about Barbados and never make a cent from it yet. And look how pretty it is to drive across the ABC highway now. You feel as though you're living in a country that God got a sense of beauty and a sense of comfort. And we are hoping that on the other side we can work and do the same thing. But the lesson I'm giving you, and this is the lesson for all who believe that everything can be done all at once. You and I know that life is not so. If I said to 200 people in here, come, we get into a fete, we doing a cook-up. And we cook a big bowl of bulgao and a big pot of pilau. Everybody can't eat from the pot at the same time. But while you can't eat at the same time, everybody can get a food. And it is the same thing with roads. It is the same thing with the water tanks and the water reservoirs. It is the same thing with the replacement of the water mains. It's the same thing with the buses. We buy 50, then we buy 35, then we buy another 35. It's the same thing with the garbage trucks. It's the same thing your grandmother and grandfather do with the blocks outside the house. They can afford to buy all one time. And that's how we do it. This is who we are. So I've come to Layne's Road, Brittons Hill, to tell you that we have not been perfect. But we have been a good government. I spoke to you about Marsha and the pension reform. I want to talk to you about Kirk as well. Because you know that Kirk Humphrey has now taken a number of agencies, some of which, like the Welfare Department, formed in 1945, the year World War II done, was when the welfare agency started. 81 years ago, taking an approach to welfare that belonged to Queen Victoria, who lived in the 19th century. And Kirk, over the last 3.5 years, he took welfare. He took the child care board where he used to work as a young public servant. He took the National Disabilities Unit, and he took the National Assistance Board. And he did for me what I asked him to do. In my first year as Prime Minister, I met with all of those agencies at estimates. This time of year, you do estimates. And I said to them, how much social workers you got welfare? And how much you got NAB? And how much you got childcare? And how much you got disabilities unit? And everybody pulling one way, next way, next way, next way. I said, oh, stop. You don't divide the human body in different parts. Very often the family that need NAB also got somebody in the family that might need childcare. Got somebody in the family that need welfare. Got somebody in the family that might have a disability. And therefore, you have to work together. And if every social worker becomes a first responder, when they do the assessment, they will then know who specialists to send you to. And Kirk took 4 agencies. Some government departments, some statutory boards. And he took his time and he met with them. And they did all kinds of exercises, including running about in the botanical gardens and playing tightrope. What do you call it again? Tug of war. And poor Kirk fall down and almost twist up his ankle. Kirk, I lie. But the point is, he didn't lead from up here. He got in there with them. He reasoned with them. He showed them why you have to move from being focused on what agency you belong to and focus on delivering to people. People-centered services. And today, I can report to you that we now have an agency called SEA. S-E-A, he wanted to call it SEA. I said, no, SEA, you must SEA, you must SEA, you must SEA. And that now will allow us to work together. He took the One Family program. I called him in, I said, Kirk, let me reason. If they got 20% below the poverty line, what does that mean? That 1 out of every families below the poverty line. 1 out of every 5 families. I said, so what is the corollary of that? What does that mean? It means that 4 out of every 5 above the poverty line. I said to fight poverty and to stop poor people from being poor is not the battle of government alone. It's the battle of all of us. And all of us know that even where you have families that are poor, there are some who have already come out and catch the train to get out of poverty. There are neighbors, godparents, all kind of people. And while there are few who will not look back, there are many who will look back and give a helping hand to you. But the system must be designed to make everybody capable of helping in this effort to lift people out of poverty. And it is not just about going in your pocket and giving a piece of cash. If you can tie and adopt a family as a person who got a little extra, so that when you go to the supermarket, you can buy 2 extra chicken streets. And you can turn around and say, look, I need to buy a box of soap powder for them. I need to buy a bottle of Clorox for them. And when you carry it to the house, you're getting them stuff to clean and stuff to eat. And then you see the little boy come out, and you see him playing with a football, and he ain't got no shoes. And you say, what size he's wearing again? Give me a little piece of paper, let me mark out the foot. How much people is mark out the foot? And you take that piece of paper, and you say, look, I got an aunt coming in from Brooklyn next week. I can tell she going by Walmart or going wherever and bring a pair of shoes for the boy. Because what you do is to create relationships. And that is why I say to you, Kirk, that what you have done, we take the first set and we said we're going to start with the first 1,000 families. And I have been going across the length and breadth of this country. And I have seen the good work that you have been doing. And you partnered with Flo. And Flo turned around and said, we are going to give these families a chance. We're going to give them access to internet and we're going to give them a little laptop. Because they understand that even though the poor, that there may be kids in there who learning and who going to be good on the computer and who going to be good and who going to decide. You see the government giving us free courses on Coursera. 15,000 courses. You go to another country in the world, you got to pay for that. This Barbados Labour Party government giving you that for free, making life easier for you. Hit after hit after hit after hit. You know what got me? That if I was ever to go up here, stand up here, and talk about the A to Z of achievements in the last 7.5 years when I was left here at 5 o'clock in the morning. And when you have a government that sees you, it's not perfect, because we live in a world where man want war now. They got war in Europe. They got war in Africa. They tried to have war down here in the Caribbean. More ships, more military ships than you ever see, even on a game on video. And when it's in war, you got them doing all kind of nonsense to be able to disrupt the supply chains. So when you got a piece of equipment, be it in the hospital, or be it in a factory, or be it in the light and power or the water authority, whereas before you could pick up the phone and know that you could get a spare part here in a week or days or 2 weeks, now people telling you that they got to wait and make it for you. And then even when they make it for you, you don't know whether you can get on the ship. And if it coming through the Panama Canal, you don't know if they got enough water for the ship to come through. And when it wasn't coming through the Panama Canal and it coming from out in the Gulf, you had people shooting up all about the place between the Houthis and in Yemen and Gaza and all out that side. So that the two sources from which we could get goods coming to us, if it not being made in Europe or America, if it being made in Turkey or China, where more and more goods are being made, you in Potter, because you at the mercy of whether a ship can reach about here. So we know that life's challenging. And they got certain people that make you feel as though you're a little child in a kindergarten playground. And I want bully. You got to learn that this is a different world. And I say to you that if there is one thing we have done, is that we have managed the big crises while keeping our eyes focused on making life a little easier for you day by day. I asked you a couple of years ago to let you sleep easier at night. And that is what I believe we have done. We have not reached the destination yet. And I know some people are weary. But when you get weary, pause, stop, breathe, and get up and go again. Because that is the world in which we live today. My grandmother was born in 1906. When World War comes, she was 8 years old. World War I. She never knew what it was to live in a world that was peaceful and stable until about 1950. So you could imagine that for the first 44 years of her life, as with the case with many of your grandparents and great-grandparents, they had hardship. When the war came, we didn't have bombs dropping here, but you couldn't get rice, you couldn't get a whole host of things. And people used to eat what they call big grain rice, which was sweet potato grated. We had life easy as an independent nation for the first 50 years or so. And unlike her, we had it easy. She had the latter part of her life easy because of how peace came and how independence came and how development started to happen. I regret that we could be in this situation globally for 20, 30 years again. And it is compounded by the fact that even the things that you do internally, we got our young people looking at this and seeing all these fancy people and how people is living everything in 4K and 8K. And when they do so and look in the mirror and see the self and see a pimple here or a blotch here, they start saying, oh Lord, I don't like how I look. Because they feel that everybody look like how you airbrush them on this here. And therefore mental health issues continue to bedevil a lot of them. And we are working to make sure that we can stabilize them and help them to be able to cope and to navigate. And nothing is wrong with the fact everybody's get anxious. There is not a human being on earth who don't face anxiety at some point in life. And if they tell you otherwise, they're lying to you. I say so, tell them I say so. So I want our young people to know that that is natural. But you must not give in to it. And if you need help, many of you have now perfected the art of saying, I need help. Nothing is wrong with saying that. I am talking to you in these ways tonight because you in Brittons Hill and you in the surrounding areas have the opportunity to make a decision on the 11th of February that will affect this country. In 2008, Owen Arthur told you, do not change for the sake of change. That if you had a good man, you don't go and left you out because you see somebody else outside dress up pretty and walking and talking pretty. Because when you get them, you don't know what they're going to do to you. They don't know whether they're going to beat you. They don't know whether they're going to shout at you. They don't know whether they may even love you up more. That is the truth. But you know what you got. You don't know what you're going to get. And I say to you tonight, we have not been perfect, but we have been good. And we have done good works by the people of this country. And I learned as a young minister of education, responsible for 4,000 teachers and 1,000 more general workers, that I could never guarantee that somebody wasn't going to do foolishness on a day. But when they did foolishness, it is up to me to be able to correct them and tell them straighten up and fly right. And that is why tonight, all of the sanctimonious, hypocritical talk from Ralph Thorne on a platform means nothing to me as long as he does not tell David Eswick, apologize to the women of this country for that shameless behavior he put down in Independence. Can you imagine that he did that in Independence Square? That is the square that Mr. Barra gave us to remind us that we can be firm craftsmen of our fate, that we can control our destiny. And what is even more shameful is that I don't know the young boy who running against Michael Lashley. And I don't have nothing against it. It's true, Lashley can be the bad in the post.
Oh, Lord.
But I admire the courage of the young man to be able to tell his story and to tell his story about what he and his mother and others went through. And then to have that story sullied by the foolishness from Eswick, who is using that behavior to be able to hide the fact that he has not done anything for the people and that his record as a minister is shameless. I just come from St. Joseph. When David Eswick was Minister of Water, instead of spending the money fixing the reservoirs in St. Joseph, instead of spending the money fixing the pipelines in St. Joseph, he go and build a whole new water authority headquarters for $60-something million. That makes sense to you? Tell me which body is St. Lucie? Because the brown water was happening from then. And we have tried to be able to deal with it. I can't tell you that problems ain't going to come, but I tell you that when I learn of them, I'm going to deal with it. In the first year, Wilfred Abrams came to me as Minister of Water. He said, boss, I got some bad news for you. I said, what happened now? He said, I just got a report that a lot of these reservoirs we have here will not even withstand a Category 1 storm. Fort George, Lodge Hill, and he called off a whole host of them. And I had to turn around and go and find money when we had no money to find. And go and build all them pretty black tanks that you see all about the country with the water. And go and buy them. Because when a hurricane comes, God forbid, and water off, how you going to be able to protect your people? You can go without food for days. But you can't go without water for a week. I say to you tonight, my friends, help me help you. This race is not for the swift. But I want to address, because I do not know if I will be back in Brittons Hill on a platform again between now and the 11th of February. It is true that we got the biggest endorsement tonight from James Paul.
Oh Lord.
And I thank James Paul for understanding that the people of St. Michael have benefited from the Barbados Labour Party government. And he told you on the 11th, go out and vote for the Barbados Labour Party. If you haven't seen it yet, you will see it by morning. But I want to tell you that there are some who are going to say, Marsha and Kirk, when I win, dying true at all. I have never seen a ballot box open with anything. You notice I didn't say a word about Richard Seeley because Richard Seeley belonged to the archives, not to the future.
Oh Lord.
And everybody around him knows that too. But I want you to know that no ballot box starts with votes in it. And whether it is Marsha, whether it is Kirk, whether it is Tyra, whether it is Santi, or whether it is William, I ask you to go out and vote for them. Because support is not votes. Flour is not cake. You can't eat flour. You just eat cake or bread. And you're going to translate support into votes. I tell the story, Marcus tell them. In 91, people tell me, oh, me, I got we support. And whenever done, I didn't get the votes. And look up. Just so, and I miss winning. So I don't play that game, and nobody can come to me with that. And I know that there are some who are going to say, I got this car to finish fixing, I can't bother. Bother. Because you now know what a Barbados Labour Party government means to people who earn a minimum wage, getting now $740 more a month than they got before we were the government. You now know what it means to be able not to have to worry because every cent you pay in income tax you get back at the end of the year because of this government. You now know what it means to get increased reverse tax credit. I say to you, make it your business. Because unless you come out and give us permission, unless you come out and give us a mandate, unless you make it happen, it will be something when you would go back home and say, oh Lord, I shoulda, I coulda, I didn't. Don't let us go down that road. But to make sure that we give you additional reason to come out, I say meet me in Golden Square this weekend. We go to the ancestral home of the Barbados Labour Party. We go to the location where ordinary people in 1937 said enough is enough is enough and determined that they would take a stand for this country. And I say to you tonight in 2026 that just as people with much less than you had today recognize that today was a funny night in the world in which they lived, that we too today must recognize that the world is not what it was. And whether it is war by man or war by climate, we need to stick together, because when Bajans stick together, we can win. And we say further, when you make the decision to allow the Labour Party, the BLP, to lead, what happens? I can't hear you. When BLP leads, and I say to you, if that is the case, then please, as I fall out from you in Brittons Hill tonight, I ask you, get up early. Get up and go. And when you get to the polling station, you will see the names of Kirk Humphrey, or Marsha Cattle, or Tyra Trotman, or Santia Bradshaw, or William Dugan, or Michael Lashley. And I say that if you want me to continue helping you to lead this country and to play our role in this region and in this world and to make life better for you, give me the team of the times. Give me Marsha Cattle. Give me Kirk Humphrey. Give me Tyra Trotman. Give me Michael Lashley. Give me William Dugan. Good night and God bless you all. Get home safely.